Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to talk about reasons that you might not be seeing progress even though you feel like you're doing everything you can to make steps towards your goals. That being like whether it's muscle gain or fat loss or body recomp, whatever it is. I'm just going to go over a few topics that some people forget is really important when they're trying to make progress. So yeah, if you're one of those people who's wondering why things aren't moving in the right direction or the direction you were hoping for, then this video might be for you. So keep watching. So reason number one is you're not training hard enough. Now, unless you're new to the gym, a majority of people probably won't be pushing themselves enough. So you don't want to be flying through your workouts when you go into the gym and just sort of turning up and going through the motions and not really like pushing yourself, because after a while, after those newbie gains finish, you're not going to be able to progress much further if you're not aiming for like personal bests every now and then, or like working on your form or thinking about mind muscle connection. You're not going to be progressing it as much as you could, and that might be the reason that you've plateaued, is because you keep using the same weights for the same exercises from week to week, or you haven't been focusing on form, or your range of movement isn't great. Yeah, so you want to really this is why tracking can really help when you working out, tracking the weights you use, and making sure that you're really struggling on the last couple reps, maybe not feeling like you might not get that last one. You don't have to train to failure, but close to it, in order to break down the muscle. In order to build it again, you have to be really tearing the muscle fibers, so you have to push yourself. A lot of people don't really do it. They'll rep out 12 and then set the weights down and move on. You want to really be struggling towards those last 2 reps, and obviously rep ranges depend on the weight you used. The sun has come out and I look like a ghost, so I do apologise for that. But yeah, just take into consideration how you're feeling when you're training. If you're sort of just blasting through it, not really feeling like you're trying very hard, and that doesn't mean sweating or whatever. Sweat and breathing heavy doesn't really mean that you're not trying hard. You just need to logically think, is this a heavy weight? Am I struggling? Do I feel like I'm putting my all into it? Those are the main questions you have to ask yourself. But yeah, that's reason number one. Are you training hard enough? When you ask yourself this, be honest. Are you really training as hard as you can? And then obviously if that's a no, then maybe start tracking your lifts and seeing how strong you really are, how much you can actually push yourself. So reason number two, you're not eating enough protein. Now, for most people, general population definitely doesn't eat enough protein anyway. I think it's 1.5 to 1.8 grams per pound of body weight, something along those lines. I aim for 130 grams of protein a day. I tend to, obviously it's different per person, but majority of people probably aren't even getting 70 grams of protein in. So yeah, have a look at that, especially if you're weight training. Even if you're not and you're just in a deficit, you should try and keep that protein high anyway, because one, it's really satiating, so it'll keep you fuller for longer. Two, when you're trying to lose weight and you're in a deficit, you want the weight you lose to be fat and not muscle. So the more protein you eat, the more muscle you'll retain, and then the more muscle you retain, the more calories you're going to burn at rest. So eating protein is really, really important to make sure that you're not losing any muscle mass when you're in a deficit. So that's a big one. I know a lot of people don't want to track, so just make sure you're having a decent sized bit of protein per meal. So that's chicken, eggs, fish, Greek yogurt, stuff like that, that's just high in protein, easy to get in. It's going to make you feel really full after each meal, which will help if you're in a diet, and it's going to really help with energy levels, making sure that the weight you lose is fat, and then obviously if you're lifting weights, it's going to help with you getting stronger and repairing those muscle fibers after each session. So have a look. If you're not tracking your food, just write down or make a mental note of what you're eating from meal to meal, and evaluate, do you think you're having enough protein? And if you want to be really specific about it, then you can just There's like calculators online to figure out how much protein you need. Go on there, have a look, and then use MyFitnessPal, which is what I use when I'm in a deficit, just because I like to make sure I am getting enough protein in, because I can be quite bad at it if I'm not paying attention to it. But yeah, just have a look at that, because that is a big one. People like look over. A lot of people still don't know what certain foods have protein in, so yeah, just have a look at that. That's a big one. So that's reason number 2. So number 3 is you're not eating enough. Now this can apply to weight loss and muscle gain. Now the reason this can apply to weight loss is because if you're in an intense deficit throughout the week, and then on like Saturdays and Sundays you're over consuming calories, because one, it's a mental break, you've deprived yourself all week, and now you can't like control yourself around like sweets or pizza. Hi baby. Then that is gonna be a reason you're going over. And when I say you're not eating enough from day to day, you don't need your calories to be really low to lose weight. You just have to find out your maintenance and then create a deficit from there. And if you want the weight loss to be sustainable, it doesn't have to be a crazy deficit, because the smaller the deficit, the easier it is to maintain, and the longer the fat loss takes to happen, the more likely you are to keep it off for good. So yeah, just have a look at what you're eating. If you're eating like really low calories, don't be scared to eat more from day to day, because it will really help if you're over consuming on weekends, or if you're like secretly eating, or you're not being honest with yourself when you're tracking food. You're just leaving out like this chocolate bar here, that chocolate bar there. And obviously with muscle gain, eating enough. You don't have to be in a surplus to gain. It obviously is easier, but you can eat around maintenance and just make sure you're getting enough protein in. That will also help. But yeah, make sure you're eating enough, and make sure you're eating enough protein. Rule number 4 is you're not sleeping enough. Now this can go hand in hand with whichever your goal is, muscle gain or fat loss, but sleep plays a big role in our hormones, and which has a domino sort of effect. So sleep affects our hormones affect our like appetite. So if you're not getting enough sleep, a hormone called ghrelin you'll have more of it, and that's the hormone that makes your appetite bigger. So basically, if you're not getting enough sleep, you're going to wake up and you're going to be a lot hungrier for no reason other than you didn't get enough sleep that night, which is really annoying. But that might explain why you just be snacking a lot, craving like sugary foods, stuff like that. That's just because you haven't slept enough and you've got more ghrelin hormone being released in you than normal. When you do sleep enough, ghrelin isn't that high, so your appetite is kind of regulated by like just yourself. You don't have to try. But yeah, that's a big thing people also overlook, is how important sleep is. And obviously if you're trying to build muscle, we don't build muscle in the gym, we break it down in the gym, and we build muscle when we rest and recover. So sleep is really important that way, because if you're not resting and sleeping enough, building that muscle back up is going to be really hard. Yeah. Reason number 5, sorry I keep looking down, but that's my notes down there. Reason number 5 is you're not being patient enough. Now this is the biggest one that most people forget, or they don't care about. This happens a lot with like yo-yo dieters. They don't really care how long it takes to lose the weight, like especially if there's something coming up like an event, a wedding, holiday, anything like that. They just want to lose it as fast as possible. But what they don't realise, when you're trying to lose weight as fast as possible, the calorie deficit you're in is going to be bigger, therefore it's going to be harder to stick to. And if you do manage to stick to it for that short period of time that you're going to do it for, once that's stopped, you will inevitably go back to the old habits you had, because flash diets don't really do anything to your habits or like your lifestyle, or you don't learn about food or nutrition or any of that. You kind of just cut calories, work out for 5-6 weeks, lose all the weight, and then go back to not moving, eating what you used to, and putting all that weight back on. And that's kind of why being patient is really important, because if you want the weight loss to be sustainable, you have to lose it in a sustainable way. So basically the way you lose the weight has to be the way you want to continue. So if you lose weight by doing a small deficit, learning what foods are good for you, what foods fill you, what kind of training you enjoy and can be consistent at, and that you don't feel like you have to force yourself to do, you can continue that forever. And then the progress you make from that lifestyle change will be forever. So it'll be sustainable. So you won't have that drastic weight loss and drastic weight gain over and over and over again. So yeah, patience is like a big thing. When people want to like lose weight or like lose fat or get a bikini body or whatever, they don't really realize that it's not really, it is achievable in 6 weeks, but it's not sustainable. So yes, you can achieve it, but once you've got your results, they're just gonna regress. No baby, go lie down. Okay. Oh, needy children. So reason number 6 is you're not making progress because the progress you're looking for is weight loss, as in scale weight loss. This might not change because if you're lifting weights and building muscle is going to, so if you're new, you can do both. You can lose fat and build muscle at the same time. Now, if you're weighing yourself during this, you'll be losing fat and gaining muscle, so the scale weight isn't going to change at all. And then you'll probably think, why isn't this number moving? It should be going down, and it's not. And it's really getting to you mentally, and you'd think everything you're doing is for nothing, when in reality you look completely different, and your inches are dropping, or your progress pictures are looking completely different when they're next to each other. But you need to stop focusing solely on the scale number, because scale weight is like, personally to me, I think it's one of the worst ways to track progress. Because one, if you're not doing it fasted, you're going to weigh a hell of a lot more at the end of the night than you did at the beginning. Whether you eat or drink, water weighs a lot if you've been drinking a lot of water. And if you eat salt and drink water, you're going to retain all that. But yeah, people don't realise the more muscle you have, the heavier you're going to be. So you could even weigh more as you're progressing through the gym, but you could look completely different. You could have a hell of a lot less body fat, a hell of a lot more muscle mass, way more, but you'll be in better shape than you've ever been before. But if you're someone who is constantly staring at the scale number, you're not going to feel like you've progressed at all, which is really sad. But a lot of people, I think now people are starting to realise that scales mean nothing, but anyone who's been dieting for a long time tends to always revert back to, I'll start weighing myself again, need to see that number coming down, and it can be really disheartening. But yeah, don't focus too much on that. Use measurements, progress pictures, how you look in the mirror, how you feel day to day, gym progress, so like if what you're lifting is getting heavier and heavier, if your form's getting better, use stuff like that, how your clothes fit. All these are much better ways to look at if you're progressing. They have a better indication of how things are moving than the number on the scale. So bin the scales, don't let it get to you, because you can be making such a big difference and the scale is not going to tell you that. So yeah, don't let it get to you. Scales aren't the end all be all. So those are my 6 things for why you might not be seeing progress. I hope this helps. Like I said, if you're really feeling deflated as to like why you're not seeing changes or feel like you're not getting anywhere, just have a look through all them, reassess, see how you're getting on. If you're having a bit of burnout, don't be scared to rest. Take a break from the gym for a few days, let that motivation come back. Stop trying to like push yourself when your body wants to rest. Just have a look, reevaluate. Write those down and tick them off, go through them. Am I doing this? Am I doing that? Could I work on that? Could I work on this? Have a look and try not to put too much pressure on yourself. Like I keep saying, this lifestyle changes, they're a marathon, they're not a sprint. Stop trying to get results as quick as possible, because you aren't going to be able to sustain them. And coming from me, I love food, so if I went into a horrible deficit trying to lose weight as quick as possible, I know I'd be miserable, and that's not what I want other people to feel like. So if you do want to make a lifestyle change and you feel like you're kind of out of your depth on your own, then reach out, ask coaches. There's loads out there. there's me, there's like, there'll be anyone in your local gym, there'll be PTs there, go ask them. We're all here to help. That's kind of why we're in this profession. It's just, I remember how I felt when I felt lost, and I don't want anyone else to feel that way. So if you look through all of these, you still can't pinpoint what the problem is, don't be scared to ask for help. That's like the main thing. No one wants to be stuck, feeling lost. Everyone wants to reach their goals. So you're not alone, and don't be scared to reach out. But I hope this helped. Let me know in the comments below if it did, and if you want more of these sort of videos where it can explain like different things about fitness journeys and things like that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.